Its quiet movement carries the power of an entire living world. One final boundary separates us from the hidden paradise below. Below the surface, the silence becomes a doorway. A single glance from this giant makes the open ocean feel intimate.
The dolphins move with curiosity, but never disturb the giant beside them.
From the smallest school to the greatest whale, every layer follows the moving sea. The giant descends toward a depth that sunlight can barely reach. It disappears into the blue, leaving one question behind: what waits ahead? New shapes emerge from below, gliding like shadows with wings.
Their movement turns the open ocean into a silent performance.
The smallest drifting life can summon the ocean's most graceful giants. Another giant follows a trail invisible from the world above. Its enormous body is sustained by life almost too small to see. Even this immense traveler depends on the gentle abundance of the sea. The ocean hides entire feasts inside water that appears empty. Where food gathers, travelers from distant waters briefly share the same path. Their ascent promises a moment the surface will not keep secret.
For one breathless instant, the underwater world rises into the sky.
Perfect coordination turns great speed into effortless motion.
Below the fast travelers, thousands of smaller lives move as one.
A school becomes a moving illusion, built from countless individual decisions.
The familiar pod returns, guiding us toward a brighter world. Every meter forward brings the hidden reef closer. Even the strangest shape in the open ocean has a purpose.
Rest and cooperation are essential, even in a world of constant movement.
A traveler built for distance enters the path ahead. Guided by temperature and instinct, it can cross an entire ocean. A floating island offers shelter where no solid ground exists. In open water, even drifting seaweed can become a safe beginning. For a few seconds, the sea releases its travelers into the air. A new generation enters the story beneath these warm waters. The calf's first ocean is protected by the body beside it. Every gentle movement becomes part of the calf's education. Protection can be seen in the smallest change of position. Familiar companions return as the deep ocean begins to rise. The color of the sea changes, announcing a world built in sunlight. At the edge of the reef, permanent residents patrol the blue. Their presence brings tension, yet the reef remains calm. New silhouettes rise from the border between reef and open sea. Their wings carry them toward the shallow gardens ahead.
A slower traveler now carries us into the reef.
The reef opens slowly, rewarding every second of the descent. Beyond the giants, an underwater city begins to rise. The current transforms the reef into a moving river of color. Power and beauty share the same narrow passage. The reef keeps its most impressive figures just beyond each turn. A giant visitor arrives for one of the reef's most delicate services. The smallest fish perform work essential to the largest visitors. A single coral head can serve an entire community. The true scale of the reef appears only when we enter it.
Every closer view reveals another color, hidden from the surface.
Different mouths unlock different resources within the same reef. Shapes, colors, and movements divide the reef without creating conflict. Inside the moving tentacles, a smaller story is already unfolding.
Even a motionless animal can transform sunlight into life.
The reef saves some of its brightest colors for creatures only centimeters long. Trust creates one of the reef's most surprising partnerships. What looks dangerous becomes peaceful when both species benefit.
A master of disguise enters the journey without announcing itself.
Color, texture, and movement allow intelligence to become almost invisible.
Another shapeshifter takes its place above the reef floor.
Its skin becomes a moving language written in color.
The reef's signals now expand from one animal to an entire group. Silence becomes communication when the body itself carries the message. The seafloor now reveals animals that live almost entirely beneath it. The current delivers food directly to animals anchored inside the sand. The smallest secret in the reef may also be the hardest to find. The closer we look, the more completely the ocean hides its wonders. Power is waiting beneath a stone no larger than a hand. Precision, strength, and engineering meet inside this tiny animal.
The reef's smallest travelers continue the journey for us.
Thousands of unnoticed workers keep this underwater city alive. The tiny details now assemble into a world of overwhelming color. What looked peaceful from above becomes endlessly complex within. The journey has moved from the greatest animals to the smallest living details.
A hidden passage now leads toward the reef's most vibrant heart.
Every turn promises a discovery more beautiful than the last.
Beyond this passage, an entire underwater city is beginning to awaken.
What you have seen is only the entrance. The true coral paradise lies ahead.
The narrow entrance has opened into a city larger than it first appeared.
Every tower is crowded with life, yet every movement remains perfectly ordered.
The reef seems to breathe as each school rises for food and returns to safety.
A specialized mouth allows these fish to reach food hidden beyond the reach of others.
The next turn reveals a pattern so precise it appears carefully painted by the sea.
Young reef fish may wear patterns completely different from the adults they will become. The reef's largest grazers now begin work that reshapes the entire landscape.
Their powerful bites gradually turn old coral into the white sand of tropical shores.
A busy service station waits beside the route of every large reef traveler.
The grouper temporarily abandons caution because cooperation offers a greater reward. Some reef hunters rely on patience and borrowed camouflage rather than speed. Inside these moving tentacles, danger for one animal becomes protection for another. Within this small shelter, the next generation is guarded one breath at a time.
For this father, protection means carrying an entire brood within his mouth.
The reef hides some of its most elaborate colors close to the seafloor. A brief movement above the coral becomes a private signal between two hidden fish.
One partner watches for danger, while the other builds their shared home.
Their survival depends on constant communication without a single sound.
A creature smaller than a finger can vanish inside the pattern of one coral branch.
The reef rewards patient eyes with animals designed to resemble their surroundings.
Some small reef animals hide, while others advertise themselves with unforgettable color. A quiet reef crawler suddenly becomes one of the ocean's most graceful swimmers. The sunlight above is captured by living mantles spread across the reef. Even the coral itself provides shelter in exchange for constant maintenance. The current becomes a moving table for animals built to filter it.
The next partnership appears dangerous until trust becomes visible.
The moray accepts a service that removes what it cannot reach alone. Beauty and defense are displayed together in every extended fin.
Movement can expose an animal, so this fish survives by moving almost not at all.
A fish that rarely swims has learned to walk across the reef instead.
Another master of disguise enters, but this one explores with remarkable intelligence.
Every arm gathers information from the reef beneath it.
Color becomes a language, a disguise, and a warning within the same living skin.
Signals travel above an animal almost invisible against the seafloor.
One effortless movement reveals how completely the ray had disappeared. A familiar traveler returns to connect the reef with the meadows beyond. The reef and the seagrass meadow survive because animals move constantly between them. The great grazers return, reminding us that every part of this reef is connected. One of the reef's most imposing residents moves with unexpected calm.
Even the reef's largest fish must pause for the smallest specialists. Shadows with black-tipped fins patrol the brightest edge of the reef.
Different sharks occupy different layers of the same reef boundary. Familiar shapes return, making the reef feel like a world with recognizable paths. A larger visitor now returns to the reef's busiest meeting place. The reef links the smallest cleaner to the greatest traveler beyond its walls. The current now begins drawing the reef's energy toward the open ocean. Powerful fish follow the same current that carries thousands of smaller bodies. The reef's colors now give way to a moving wall of silver. Stillness above the school creates a quiet tension without disturbing the reef. While the great schools move onward, these animals spend their lives anchored to one patch of sand. A tiny burrow becomes the center of an entire life. One coral head may contain more territories than the eye first notices. The reef is filled with faces that appear only when the viewer waits. Some reef fish prefer to watch the moving world from a fixed lookout.
An unusual body shape produces movement unlike any other fish nearby. And defense remains hidden until danger makes it necessary.
Bold patterns can identify a fish before its shape becomes clear. Constant grazing prevents fast-growing algae from overwhelming the coral.
Different species now gather along the same route toward the open sea. As the light changes, the reef begins preparing for another rhythm.
As daylight weakens, new animals begin reaching into the moving water. The reef does not become quiet when daylight fades, it simply changes workers.
Familiar squid return as the reef's daytime colors begin to soften. And
as larger fish leave the basin, smaller reef animals claim the foreground.
The shaded caves are filling with fish, prepared for the coming darkness.
The reef's moving river is now carrying us beyond the coral walls.
The underwater city falls behind, but its travelers lead toward a much larger world.
Something far larger is rising beneath the school, just beyond the reef's protection. The reef has delivered us back to the giants, where the next journey will begin. Beyond the reef, voices are calling from a world with no walls. Beyond the reef, voices are calling from a world without walls. The mysterious voices now take shape as a familiar pod returns.
Only in the open ocean does the true scale of these travelers become clear.
The giant is rising, and the surface is about to reveal its power.
One breath transforms the calm horizon into an unforgettable spectacle.
The dolphins answer the whale's quiet power with effortless movement of their own.
A single movement of the tail sends energy through thousands of tons of water. A younger traveler appears, protected by a body many times its size. The calf learns the ocean by following every movement of its mother. Play is more than entertainment here. It prepares a young whale for survival. Every depth holds a different journey, yet all of them share the same moving water. A faster giant now enters, built to cross the ocean with astonishing efficiency. Its speed is hidden inside movements that appear almost effortless. Another breath marks the passage of a traveler that may cross entire oceans. The water darkens beneath a body larger than anything else alive. No camera angle can contain the full scale of the largest animal on Earth.
Its immense body is sustained by creatures almost invisible in the water.
A nearly invisible boundary concentrates the food that giants follow. As one giant descends, another voice rises from the darkness. A deep diver returns from a world where sunlight never reaches. Its breath confirms a journey that may have reached more than a kilometer below. The next descent leads into darkness, guided almost entirely by sound. Above the solitary diver, a family travels by constant communication. For these whales, survival is built around a family that rarely separates. Another social hunter crosses the same ocean highway without disturbing the family below. Coordination allows a powerful group to move through the sea as one. Their pale markings record years of life written directly across the skin.
Every scar makes the older dolphins more recognizable to those traveling beside them.
Beneath the travelers, thousands of fish turn the empty blue into living architecture.
The shape changes every second, yet the school never loses its unity.
The ocean's fastest performers arrive beside a moving river of silver. Speed becomes a form of entertainment when every turn remains perfectly controlled. For a few seconds, the open sea becomes a stage, with no audience but the horizon. Another silver highway forms ahead, drawing the journey deeper into the blue. A hidden giant rises beneath the silver current, promising the next dramatic reveal. One carefully timed movement gathers thousands of small fish without disrupting the wider sea.
After the giant passes, the silver school rebuilds itself within seconds.
These powerful fish are built to remain in motion across enormous distances. long, streamlined hunter enters the frame like a blade moving through water. The blue opens again, revealing colors that seem impossible until they move. A drifting patch of seaweed becomes a vivid meeting place in the empty ocean. The largest fish in the sea returns, following food too small to be seen from the surface. Its enormous size is supported by patience rather than pursuit. 3 silent wings join the giant along the same invisible trail of food.
Each manta carries a pattern as individual as a fingerprint.
Beneath the passing wings, one unusual traveler pauses for a necessary service. The direction changes, and the warm tropical sea begins giving way to cooler currents. Migration paths overlap briefly before each traveler follows its own destination. The color of the water announces that a new ocean habitat is approaching. Long fins and slender bodies reveal animals built for life far from land. Different sharks divide the open ocean by depth, temperature, and opportunity. A volcanic ridge gathers one of the ocean's most recognizable silhouettes. The seamount turns empty water into a gathering place for life.
One extraordinary tale makes this solitary shark instantly unforgettable.
Another giant shark survives not by chasing prey, but by filtering the sea itself. Its intimidating appearance hides one of the gentlest feeding strategies in the ocean. A rarely seen deep diver offers only a brief glimpse before disappearing again. But the deep diver leaves as coastal travelers begin guiding us toward land. Cooler currents bring new colors, new fish, and a different rhythm of movement. The open ocean is becoming shallower, and the seafloor is returning. Rock, algae, and cooler light announce the edge of an underwater forest. One final giant marks the boundary between the open sea and the coast. The blue world now transforms into a forest, moved by every passing wave. Something is moving between the trees of this underwater forest. Beyond these moving walls, an entirely different ocean kingdom is waiting. But the moving forest has hidden its first resident, inviting us farther inside. The hidden silhouette becomes a seal built to move effortlessly through this underwater forest. Curiosity brings the seal closer, but the forest remains its world, not ours. As the seal rises, a quieter community appears beneath the canopy.
The nest may appear simple, but every cleared stone represents careful work. Small grazers can determine whether this coast remains a forest or becomes bare rock. Movement almost too slow to notice can still reshape an entire seafloor community. Beneath the rock, an animal protected by one heavy shell survives the constant coastal surge. Camouflage in this forest is built from the colors of the plants themselves. Two unrelated animals disappear by borrowing the same shape and color. A fish almost identical to the forest moves only when the current conceals it. The forest opens onto a quiet nursery where patterned sharks gather above the sand.
Their calm formation reveals a coastal shark, far different from the image many people expect.
The passing shadows awaken an animal almost completely hidden beneath the seafloor. With one quiet lift, the seafloor becomes open water. A massive resident appears between the trees, moving with the authority of age. Its scars record decades spent navigating this shifting underwater forest. Even the largest fish in the forest depends on smaller partners. A predator disappears not by changing color, but by matching a reef that never stops moving. The forest canopy redirects every school like wind moving through trees. Two agile visitors transform the quiet clearing into a fluid underwater performance. Their flexible bodies turn narrow spaces into effortless pathways. Beneath the playful seal, an armored resident begins its careful journey. Touch and chemical signals guide the lobster through places where vision is limited. This crab does not merely hide beside the reef, it carries the reef upon its back. Camouflage becomes a construction project, completed one fragment at a time. Cold water reefs create color through animals rather than coral alone. The smallest flash of color may belong to an animal hidden beneath the forest canopy. Soft-bodied grazers move quietly through places protected from the strongest surge. One kelp holdfast shelters a miniature community beneath the towering forest. The giant of the forest begins life inside a shelter formed by plants. A bonded pair occupies the same den year after year beneath the kelp. Their intimidating faces conceal a remarkably stable partnership. A far more intelligent resident is watching from beneath the next rock. The hidden watcher expands into one of the forest's most remarkable animals.
Color and texture shift together, allowing intelligence to disappear against stone.
Each arm explores independently, yet every discovery belongs to one mind.
A body without bones can enter spaces that appear impossibly small.
The forest has hidden its most intelligent resident once again. Above the hidden octopus, a river of silver enters the forest. Three powerful swimmers arrive, changing the rhythm without breaking the calm. The plants divide the chase-like movement into a graceful maze, but no strike occurs. At the surface, another guardian of the kelp forest is waiting. Four sea otters rest above the forest they help protect.
A simple tool allows the otter to reach food protected by a hard shell.
Kelp becomes an anchor that prevents resting otters from drifting away.
By limiting urchin numbers, otters help preserve the towering forest beneath them. In the deeper canyon, an ancient shark design enters the forest. These sharks move through the canyon with a body plan older than the forest itself.
Color returns to the canyon through animals fixed to rock, and one ray resting beside them.
One slow wing beat reveals the hidden landscape beneath the resting ray. The shaded wall rivals tropical reefs without a single hard coral colony. A living net reaches into the current to capture food too small to see. A transparent traveler carries a faint rainbow through the green sea. The current leads from the dark canyon into a quiet gathering of drifting life. Time appears to slow as the jellies follow the gentle rhythm of the bay.
Beyond the kelp, two small cetaceans mark the approach of evening.
Their compact bodies carry them quietly along the boundary between forest and open sea.
As daylight fades, the forest gathers every resident into one final golden view. The forest does not sleep. It exchanges one community for another. Armored walkers and soft-bodied hunters now replace the daytime fish. The evening belongs to animals that can disappear between shadow and stone. The smaller octopus has led us toward a den occupied by a far greater presence. The forest's most intelligent resident is guiding the journey into darkness. Color disappears from the water, but the octopus carries its own changing patterns. Beyond the forest begins a world ruled by camouflage, intelligence, and changing skin. A second master of disguise has appeared beyond the final kelp stalk. The forest ends, and an entire kingdom of shapeshifters begins. Ahead lies an ocean world where nothing remains the color, shape, or texture it first appears to be. The forest has ended, but the ocean's greatest masters of disguise are only beginning to appear. Every meter of seafloor gives the octopus a new surface to copy. A second shapeshifter now reveals itself above the sand. Its skin becomes a moving message written directly across the body.
In seconds, an animal in full view becomes difficult to separate from the seafloor.
Its 7 distant silhouettes now become a coordinated group of reef squid.
Color allows the group to communicate without producing a sound.
The group leaves the canyon and enters a moonlit underwater plain. A protected ledge receives the next generation of reef squid. Each quiet capsule carries a life that will soon enter the open ocean.
One octopus carries the materials for its own portable shelter.
The awkward journey becomes worthwhile when open sand offers nowhere else to hide. Intelligence transforms 2 abandoned shells into a secure refuge. A different octopus enters an exposed landscape where disguise must include movement.
The octopus does not become another animal. It copies the animal's shape and motion.
A second striped octopus reveals a different pattern and a different strategy.
Every arm searches independently, while one nervous system coordinates the whole body.
A tiny octopus carries one of the seal's clearest warning signals.
The warning appears for only a moment, allowing conflict to be avoided. The next cuttlefish abandons ordinary camouflage and walks in full view.
Its deliberate steps create one of the ocean floor's strangest performances.
Pattern now becomes courtship rather than camouflage. One body can present different messages on opposite sides at the same moment. Larger cuttlefish now gather above a rocky meeting ground.
Visual competition replaces violence across the shallow sea ridge.
The same remarkable design exists in an animal small enough to hide beside a shell.
Precision becomes more impressive as the animal becomes smaller. As the sea darkens, a nocturnal squid rises from beneath the sand. Its compact body is built for a life spent close to the bottom. A few movements erase almost every sign that the squid is present. Transparency offers camouflage where there is no rock, sand, or coral to copy.
Even body angle becomes part of the squid's disguise in open water.
A reflective surface replaces transparency as the light continues to fade. The squid controls thousands of color cells with extraordinary precision. One reflective traveler becomes part of a wider moving group. The group turns together, but every body carries an individual signal. In darker water, living light replaces the colors created by sunlight. Thousands of controlled lights turn the darkness into a living night sky. A solitary deep-sea squid carries a coiled shell hidden inside its body. Buoyancy allows this tiny animal to remain suspended far above the seafloor. This shell is not a permanent home, but a nursery created by the female herself. A fragile structure protects developing eggs in the moving open ocean. An ancient shelled relative now climbs from the darkness toward the reef.
Its chambered shell controls buoyancy through a design preserved across immense spans of time. And
three ancient travelers rise together as the night begins to weaken.
Daylight sends these nocturnal wanderers back toward the deeper reef. With returning light, camouflage becomes colorful once again. One arm explores a space the entire body does not need to enter.
Even neighboring octopuses carry identities written across different skin patterns.
The surrounding reef controls which colors become useful from one moment to the next.
The journey returns to shallow water, where squid signals shine beneath the morning sun.
every squid sends a private message while remaining part of the group.
A hidden squid rises from beneath the same sand crossed by the group above.
compact body allows this squid to remain close to shelter.
The animal disappears, but the journey continues toward deeper blue water.
The 7 squid return, creating a familiar path through the changing habitat. The journey reconnects with the giant octopus that first led us beyond the kelp. The guide returns to the seafloor, carrying the story toward another hidden community. An armored pair of eyes watches the octopus from beneath the next stone. As the octopus disappears, an entirely different body design takes control of the frame. The soft-bodied kingdom gives way to animals protected by armor. Claws, shells, and antennae now replace flexible arms and changing skin.
Beyond the cephalopods lies a kingdom built from armor, claws, and extraordinary partnerships. The first armored giant has appeared, but countless others are still hidden ahead.
The forest has ended, but the ocean's greatest masters of disguise are only beginning to appear. Every meter of seafloor gives the octopus a new surface to copy. A second shapeshifter now reveals itself above the sand.
Its skin becomes a moving message, written directly across the body.
In seconds, an animal in full view becomes difficult to separate from the seafloor. 7 distant silhouettes now become a coordinated group of reef squid.
Color allows the group to communicate without producing a sound.
The group leaves the canyon and enters a moonlit underwater plain. A protected ledge receives the next generation of reef squid. Each quiet capsule carries a life that will soon enter the open ocean.
One octopus carries the materials for its own portable shelter.
The awkward journey becomes worthwhile when open sand offers nowhere else to hide. Intelligence transforms 2 abandoned shells into a secure refuge. A different octopus enters an exposed landscape where disguise must include movement.
The octopus does not become another animal. It copies the animal's shape and motion.
A second striped octopus reveals a different pattern and a different strategy.
Every arm searches independently, while one nervous system coordinates the whole body.
A tiny octopus carries one of the sea's clearest warning signals.
The warning appears for only a moment, allowing conflict to be avoided.
The next cuttlefish abandons ordinary camouflage and walks in full view.
Its deliberate steps create one of the ocean floor's strangest performances.
Pattern now becomes courtship rather than camouflage.
One body can present different messages on opposite sides at the same moment.
Larger cuttlefish now gather above a rocky meeting ground. Visual competition replaces violence across the shallow sea ridge.
The same remarkable design exists in an animal, small enough to hide beside a shell.
Precision becomes more impressive as the animal becomes smaller. As the sea darkens, a nocturnal squid rises from beneath the sand. Its compact body is built for a life spent close to the bottom. A few movements erase almost every sign that the squid is present. Transparency offers camouflage where there is no rock, sand, or coral to copy. Even body angle becomes part of the squid's disguise in open water.
A reflective surface replaces transparency as the light continues to fade.
The squid controls thousands of color cells with extraordinary precision. One reflective traveler becomes part of a wider moving group. The group turns together, but every body carries an individual signal. In darker water, living light replaces the colors created by sunlight. Thousands of controlled lights turn the darkness into a living night sky. A solitary deep-sea squid carries a coiled shell hidden inside its body. Buoyancy allows this tiny animal to remain suspended far above the seafloor. This shell is not a permanent home, but a nursery created by the female herself. A fragile structure protects developing eggs in the moving open ocean. An ancient shelled relative now climbs from the darkness toward the reef.
Its chambered shell controls buoyancy through a design preserved across immense spans of time.
Three ancient travelers rise together as the night begins to weaken.
Daylight sends these nocturnal wanderers back toward the deeper reef. With returning light, camouflage becomes colorful once again. One arm explores a space the entire body does not need to enter. Even neighboring octopuses carry identities written across different skin patterns. The surrounding reef controls which colors become useful from one moment to the next.
The journey returns to shallow water, where squid signals shine beneath the morning sun.
Every squid sends a private message while remaining part of the group.
A hidden squid rises from beneath the same sand crossed by the group above. A compact body allows this squid to remain close to shelter.
The animal disappears, but the journey continues toward deeper blue water.
The 7 squid return, creating a familiar path through the changing habitat. The journey reconnects with the giant octopus that first led us beyond the kelp. The guide returns to the seafloor, carrying the story toward another hidden community.
An armored pair of eyes watches the octopus from beneath the next stone.
As the octopus disappears, an entirely different body design takes control of the frame. The soft-bodied kingdom gives way to animals protected by armor. Claws, shells, and antennae now replace flexible arms and changing skin. Beyond the cephalopods lies a kingdom built from armor, claws, and extraordinary partnerships. The first armored giant has appeared, but countless others are still hidden ahead.
The first armored giant has appeared, but the seafloor is still hiding countless others.
Long antennae allow the lobster to explore a world where visibility changes with every rock.
One solitary traveler becomes part of a migration shaped by instinct and the moving sea.
By following the animal ahead, the group crosses exposed seafloor with greater security.
A different lobster survives by becoming nearly indistinguishable from the seafloor.
Its armor is shaped for concealment rather than display.
The armored world is also built upon partnerships that cross species boundaries.
The grouper accepts a service that removes what its own body cannot reach.
One partner watches the open sea, while the other maintains their shared shelter.
Their silent communication keeps construction and security perfectly coordinated.
The most visually complex eyes in this reef belong to an animal hidden beneath one stone.
Vision, precision, and strength are concentrated inside a body small enough to disappear underground.
This crab carries living defenses instead of relying upon its shell alone. A partnership turns two tiny anemones into portable protection.
The same moving water that bends the anemone also delivers food to the crab beneath it.
Instead of changing its own color, this crab carries the colors of the reef.
Camouflage becomes a construction process, completed piece by piece.
A body shaped like the coral itself becomes nearly impossible to separate from the host. Movement briefly exposes the camouflage before the crab disappears again. Beyond the ridge, darkness has created an oasis powered by the heat of the earth.
A tiny passenger crosses the reef upon a much larger moving host.
Every species occupies a narrow distance from heat that can sustain life or destroy it. Transport and feeding are combined within one quiet partnership. These worms survive without sunlight, mouths, or conventional digestive systems. One of the reef's most striking pairs now enters the armored kingdom.
Internal bacteria convert chemical energy into the food these animals cannot gather for themselves.
Their vivid appearance conceals a highly specialized way of life.
The shrimp remain close enough to use chemical energy, but far enough to avoid lethal heat. Shelter can exist inside a forest of dangerous spines.
Hair-like structures upon the claws support bacteria that help feed the crab.
The shrimp navigate a shelter that few other animals can enter safely. A few meters of distance transform the vent from a shrimp habitat into a mussel community.
Another crab finds protection by living where movement requires perfect precision.
The mussels gain energy through microscopic partners hidden inside their tissues.
Transparency becomes the most effective camouflage upon a pale living host.
A fixed perch turns the moving sea into a continuous source of drifting food.
A body that allows light to pass through leaves almost no shadow behind. Minerals carried from beneath the crust build this chimney one fragile layer at a time. an almost weightless-looking body is perfectly adapted to life upon the thinnest branches. The plume carries heat and minerals upward, but life survives only along its cooler margins. One solitary climber gives way to thousands of tiny swimmers gathered in shadow. A temperature boundary invisible from afar organizes the entire community. The cave becomes a nursery formed from thousands of nearly transparent bodies.
The same current carries the journey from coral shadow into a sunlit sea meadow. Armored segments allow this worm to move across unstable mineral surfaces.
Small cleaners work across the meadow, one blade at a time. A larger shrimp enters the meadow with a body built for both walking and sudden swimming. One rapid tail movement turns a bottom walker into a powerful swimmer.
A finned octopus now connects the crowded oasis to the nearly empty plain beyond.
As daylight weakens, hidden shrimp begin rising from beneath the meadow. Slow fin movements carry the octopus across a landscape divided by heat and chemistry.
Night activity begins before the last daylight has completely disappeared.
The meadow opens toward an estuary where a crab has evolved to swim.
Slow-growing coral creates shelter in water far removed from sunlight and heat.
Paddle-shaped legs allow this crab to cross water that would stop most bottom walkers. Unequal claws reveal tools adapted for different tasks.
Long arms lift the sea star above the sediment where drifting food is easier to reach.
Heavy armor offers protection, but the crab still chooses shelter whenever possible. The armored journey reaches the boundary where ocean and land exchange control. Every wave briefly changes the crab's territory from land back into sea. One oversized claw transforms communication into a visual display across the mudflat. Signals travel across the flat long before the returning tide reaches each burrow. An armored design older than the dinosaurs enters the shallow sea. Their ancient form survives because it remains remarkably effective. Cooler water introduces a crab built for broad, sandy coastal plains.
Related tube worms survive here through chemical partnerships without depending upon volcanic heat.
A shallow layer of sand turns armor into camouflage.
Different claws divide the work of crushing, cutting, and exploration.
A rare natural color variation makes one familiar body appear completely different.
The dense brine creates a chemical boundary that many pelagic animals, like these jellyfish, cannot cross.
The unusual color changes appearance, but not the animal's anatomy or behavior. Life concentrates along the narrow boundary between usable ocean water and hostile brine. Long-legged crabs now appear across a colder, deeper plain. A fish patrols the boundary without entering the chemically dangerous water below. A wide seafloor allows each crab to maintain its own path. The remains of one ocean giant become an island of life for decades.
Heavier armor now replaces the delicate legs of the snow crabs.
Specialized worms extract nutrients from bone, without a mouth or digestive tract.
Every step carries a heavily armored body across unstable ground. Tiny crustaceans recycle the remaining organic material hidden within the bones.
The silhouette from the opening now becomes the largest crab in this journey.
A larger scavenger searches the whale fall with movements designed to conserve energy.
Its extraordinary span is created by legs, not by an oversized body.
A heavy shadow approaches an oasis built from the remains of another giant.
The largest crab leads directly to one of the smallest lobster-like residents of the deep.
Slow movement allows this deep water shark to cross enormous territories with limited energy.
A fixed perch turns the slow current into a continuous source of food.
Grenadiers patrol the plain, where every edible particle is valuable. The armored journey reaches a habitat powered without sunlight.
Modified fins allow this fish to wait above the bottom instead of swimming continuously.
Bacteria growing upon the claws help sustain life beside the vent. The seafloor now falls into a trench deeper than the surrounding abyss. Shrimp gather where chemical energy replaces the sunlight of the upper sea. Increasing pressure and decreasing food reduce the number of animals with every meter. Life survives by remaining close to warmth without entering water that is too hot. Small crustaceans remain among the most successful animals in the deepest ocean. Far from the vents, a giant relative of shoreline isopods crosses the abyss.
A soft body survives crushing pressure by containing almost no rigid internal space.
In the food-poor abyss, every movement must conserve energy. Even inside the trench, a drifting jelly follows particles descending from the upper ocean. Even ancient remains become islands of energy upon the deep sea floor. Tiny moving hairs turn the weakest available light into a brief rainbow. A colony of specialized bodies drifts where no single animal could perform every task alone.
The armored community now leads toward a water column where the seafloor begins to disappear.
Long filaments explore the water below, while the squid conserves energy above the slope. The journey leaves the bottom and enters a drifting world of tiny crustaceans. A familiar finned octopus reappears in one of the deepest habitats on Earth. Each krill is small, but together they support some of the largest animals on Earth. Pale snailfish reveal how vertebrate life has adapted to the Hadal depths. A flash of living light creates a momentary shield in the darkness.
Soft bones and pressure-stable chemistry allow these fish to survive where most vertebrates cannot.
Night draws small crustaceans upward from depths that daylight keeps hidden. At this pressure and depth, the wall is shaped more by geology than by large living colonies. The armored kingdom fades beneath us as new lights appear in the ocean ahead. A rising current begins carrying the journey away from the trench. The first glowing fish have entered the darkness, but the full twilight world remains concealed. The darkness slowly weakens as the current climbs toward colder northern seas. Living lights now replace the colors that sunlight created above. One of the longest-lived vertebrates enters the current, leading toward polar water. The sea has exchanged armor for light, and the next kingdom is waiting beyond visibility. A cold water jelly marks the approach of an ocean shaped by ice. A transparent head has appeared for an instant, promising a world stranger than everything above. Ice crystals and distant voices announce a completely different world above. Every distant light may belong to an animal the surface world rarely sees. The ascent ends beneath a ceiling formed from frozen ocean.
Beyond this final glow lies an ocean world that creates its own light.
The first pulse of living light opens a world that sunlight never reaches. Beneath the ice, giants, hunters, and entire hidden gardens are waiting in the cold blue silence. The hidden giant is a bowhead whale, perfectly adapted to a sea sealed by ice. Its glow is not decoration, but a tool refined by life in darkness. And its enormous head can break through young ice when open water is scarce. Below the jelly, thousands of small fish carry patterns of light along their bodies. And a body built for cold carries the record of a very long life. One small opening can become a vital doorway for an animal that must breathe air.
A mirrored body and carefully placed lights help erase the fish's shadow from below.
A young whale begins life inside one of the harshest oceans on Earth. The strange, transparent head now reveals eyes designed to search the water above. Sound travels far beneath the ice, connecting whales separated by great distances.
Movable eyes allow the barrel eye to search above and then examine what lies directly ahead.
A pod of narwhals appears, led by one of the ocean's most unusual teeth. What appears to be one animal is actually a colony of bodies working together.
The tusk is an enlarged tooth filled with sensory connections to the surrounding sea.
Each section performs a different task, yet none can survive alone. Moving through fractured ice requires memory, communication, and precise coordination. Tiny moving hairs divide the available light into a faint, traveling rainbow. A new pod enters the under-ice world with voices among the most varied in the ocean. Another colony enters, forming a hollow living tube from hundreds of individual animals.
Flexible necks and complex calls help belugas navigate a changing frozen maze.
One signal can spread through the colony like a slow wave of living light. A ringed seal depends upon breathing holes it maintains throughout the frozen season. A rising field of small squid transforms the darkness into a moving constellation.
The seal keeps this opening usable even as the ocean surface freezes around it.
Where hiding places do not exist, transparency becomes the safest disguise. Small polar cod form a crucial link between microscopic life and the region's largest predators. One squid avoids light, while another redirects it across a reflective body. The polar food web begins with microscopic algae growing inside and beneath the ice. Thousands of controlled pigment cells allow the skin to become an active display.
Small crustaceans transfer energy from the ice itself into the wider ocean.
Its dramatic name hides an animal adapted to conserve energy rather than pursue prey.
A tiny swimming snail moves through the polar sea with the appearance of wings. A threatening shape is created to prevent conflict before it begins.
The faint rainbow is created by moving hairs, not by artificial light.
A nearly black body carries light that most other animals cannot detect.
One of the longest-lived vertebrates moves almost silently beneath the frozen ocean.
Red light allows the dragonfish to search without revealing itself to most nearby prey.
A heavy surface animal becomes surprisingly controlled once it enters the sea.
Two colors of living light give this fish a private advantage in darkness. Thousands of sensitive whiskers help the walrus locate shellfish hidden beneath the bottom. Large teeth allow the viperfish to hold rare opportunities in a world where food is scarce. A quiet bivalve bed supports animals far larger than any single shell. The intimidating face belongs to a fish shorter than many animals near the surface. Cold polar seafloors can hold gardens as complex as many tropical reefs. An expandable mouth allows the gulper eel to accept food larger than its narrow body suggests.
A living net captures drifting food without leaving its fixed perch.
A small shark crosses the darkness using light beneath its body to disguise its silhouette.
Heavy armor allows these crabs to move across unstable ground in cold water.
Some of the most numerous vertebrates on Earth live almost entirely beyond human sight.
In polar seas, some sea spiders grow far larger than their warmer water relatives.
Together, these hidden animals form a biological layer large enough to reflect sound. A strong jaw allows the wolffish to handle hard-shelled food in the cold reef. A small animal has built one of the largest and most delicate feeding structures in the open sea. The male remains beside the eggs while currents move across the exposed rock.
Continuous tail movement powers a filtration system, assembled entirely from mucus.
A global current now carries the journey away from the Arctic.
Once abandoned, the filter becomes a package of food descending toward the sea floor.
The cold current has crossed into another polar kingdom beneath Antarctic ice. A burst of living light creates confusion long enough for the shrimp to disappear. A Weddell seal can travel beneath ice that appears completely sealed. Tiny crustaceans recycle the constant rain of organic material from above.
An octopus adapted to open water replaces the rocks and dens of shallow relatives.
Transparency allows this octopus to remain visible only where solid organs interrupt the light.
Streamlined bodies and solid bones allow the penguins to dive with remarkable control.
Long filaments hang beneath a squid, known from only rare encounters in the deep. Silverfish transfer energy from plankton to seals, penguins, and whales throughout the Southern Ocean. Its unusual posture saves energy while the filaments explore the water below.
Billions of krill support one of the most productive ecosystems on Earth.
A larger silhouette passes at the edge of visibility, allowing only a brief and uncertain glimpse. A minke whale moves through narrow spaces beneath the ice with exceptional agility. Powerful clicks announce a deep diver entering a world guided by sound. One small opening connects the whale's underwater world to the air above.
Each click travels through darkness and returns with information about the unseen space ahead.
A humpback returns to the story, where cold water concentrates enormous quantities of food. Two legendary deep-sea travelers share the darkness without revealing what happens beyond our view. Another powerful family enters the polar sea, but the ocean remains calm. Near the bottom, a gentle octopus replaces speed with slow, efficient fin movements.
Orcas rely upon stable family bonds and learned behavior passed between generations.
A light touch allows the octopus to investigate the seafloor without wasting energy. A second finned octopus enters, carrying delicate sensory structures along its arms.
Despite their name, crabator seals feed mainly upon Antarctic krill.
Webbing transforms 8 separate arms into a controlled underwater surface.
A soft-bodied hunter survives freezing water through chemistry hidden within its blood. A flattened octopus rests where the abyssal plain meets the first rocky slope. Some Antarctic icefish carry nearly colorless blood through waters rich in oxygen. A body shaped for the bottom becomes unexpectedly graceful once it rises. Antifreeze proteins help these fish survive in seawater below the normal freezing point of blood.
Instead of swimming continuously, the tripod fish waits above the seafloor upon modified fins.
Cold water and slow metabolism allow some polar sea spiders to reach extraordinary size.
The current delivers information and potential food to an animal built to wait.
Large amphipods recycle scarce food across the deep Southern Ocean. Grenadiers patrol the abyss with bodies shaped for slow movement and limited food. A slow-growing sponge community creates shelter in water that remains cold throughout the year.
Despite its name, the ghost shark is a real cartilaginous fish adapted to deep water.
The Antarctic seafloor hides color that the ice above never reveals. An ancient shark design enters the canyon with 6 gill openings and 1 dorsal fin. Sea stars become important grazers and scavengers across the polar bottom. Excellent. Slow movement conserves energy while allowing the shark to cover a vast deep-sea territory. The reef appears motionless until hundreds of delicate arms begin collecting food. A flexible shark body follows the shape of the canyon more closely than the heavier species above. Two transparent animals use entirely different systems to move through the same cold sea. One of the longest-lived vertebrates moves through the cold darkness with almost no wasted motion. The largest animal on Earth returns where polar productivity can sustain its enormous body. The canyon wall transforms bare rock into a layered habitat built by slow-growing animals.
The polar feeding season ends, and migration begins toward warmer seas. A colony that may live for centuries feeds one drifting particle at a time.
Every kilometer north changes the light, temperature, and communities around the traveler.
Mineral skeletons support animals that filter the cold water continuously. Familiar dolphins return as the frozen ocean gives way to open blue water.
A branching animal turns the moving water into an enormous living net.
A tropical silhouette appears beneath the returning light, promising the final ocean paradise. The sea pig recycles the final traces of food that reach the abyss. The journey has crossed ice, darkness, and open ocean to reach the final living sanctuary. Armored scavengers and soft-bodied recyclers share the same food-poor plain. Every world we have visited is beginning to reconnect through this returning current.
The sea star raises its body above the bottom to reach food carried by the current.
Beyond this final blue gateway, every ocean kingdom will meet again.
Chemical energy begins leaking from the seafloor, creating an oasis without sunlight. Mollusks survive here through partnerships with bacteria living inside their tissues. Hair-like structures upon the claws support bacteria that help sustain the crab.
Shrimp gather within a narrow zone where temperature and chemistry remain survivable.
These worms have no conventional mouth or digestive system, depending instead upon internal bacteria. Superheated water carries minerals upward, building the chimney layer by layer. A drifting octopus links the quiet abyssal plain to this crowded chemical oasis.
Far from the vents, the remains of one giant create another temporary oasis. The empty-looking plain contains isolated islands of life, separated by vast distances. Beyond the ridge, an entire community is thriving around heat rising from the earth.
The darkness has opened onto an oasis more crowded than anything the abyss should allow.
Every ocean kingdom has led us back to this living sanctuary.
The manta becomes the first returning symbol of grace within the final ocean symphony.
The largest fish in the sea returns not as a hunter, but as a patient filter feeder. A familiar turtle guides us from the giants back toward the details of the reef.
The living city reveals its scale through thousands of small bodies moving around one traveler.
The final journey returns to a partnership small enough to fit within a single coral shelter.
The reef's great grazers quietly help create the sand surrounding this tropical sea. The final reef chapter reminds us that even powerful animals depend upon smaller partners.
Intelligence returns to the frame through an animal capable of changing both color and texture.
A second shapeshifter answers with patterns written across living skin. One body pattern becomes a conversation when 7 squid move together. Flexible bodies give way to one of the reef's most precisely armored animals. Armor, camouflage, and careful movement now complete the reef's smallest stories. One current now carries the final journey from the reef into the wider sea.
The same 12 dolphins that opened the journey return to guide its final passage.
Small and great travelers share the same route through the open ocean.
1 breath and 3 brief leaps transform the sea surface into a final natural stage.
The largest animal on Earth returns for the final movement of the open ocean symphony.
Its scale cannot be understood in a single view, only through the time required for the body to pass.
One giant descends as another returns from a world guided by sound. The final journey now follows sound back into the ocean's living darkness. Thousands of small lights replace the colors created by sunlight. The transparent head returns as one of the deep ocean's most remarkable visual adaptations. One apparent animal is revealed again as a colony of specialized lives.
A dramatic appearance conceals an animal built to conserve energy rather than chase.
The final descent reaches a gentle octopus adapted to the immense pressure below. The darkness brightens with life, powered by the heat and chemistry of the Earth. A different oasis survives through chemicals leaking slowly from the sediment.
Even after death, one whale continues supporting generations of deep-sea life. The deepest fish in the journey return, where pressure excludes almost every other vertebrate. The deepest current begins lifting the final journey back toward light.
Darkness gives way once more to an ocean sealed beneath ice. The bowhead returns as a symbol of endurance beneath the frozen sea. The narwhal pod returns through a pathway remembered beneath changing ice. The voices of belugas briefly fill the frozen ocean before the current moves south. The current links 2 polar oceans and returns us to the diving emperor penguins. The penguins move above the tiny crustaceans, supporting nearly every larger animal here. The smallest abundant animals become the foundation of the polar ocean's greatest gatherings. The orca family returns as a reminder that knowledge also travels between generations. The final migration leaves the ice and follows warming water toward the forested coast. The moving forest returns, connecting polar nutrients to a rich coastal habitat.
4 sea otters return above the forest, and their feeding behavior helps preserve.
Two seals transform the forest into a fluid maze of movement. The forest's oldest resident returns, with decades recorded across its body. The intelligent guide from the forest returns for one final crossing. A river of silver now carries the final journey out of the forest. 12 dolphins guide the silver current away from the coast and back toward tropical blue. The changing light announces the final return to warm water.
The manta and whale shark reunite along the invisible trail that first brought the giants together.
The current has completed its circle and returned every traveler to the reef gateway.
The final reef view reveals that the smallest lives are as essential as the giants.
The reef begins changing shifts as daylight slowly weakens.
Armored walkers and soft-bodied explorers reclaim the reef after sunset. Once each year, countless coral colonies release the future of the reef into the moving sea. The current carries new life beyond the reef that created it. Every layer of the ocean is connected by movement, food, migration, and time.
A new day begins as the turtle rises from the sleeping reef.
The original dolphin pod returns for the final ascent toward the horizon. The hidden world below meets the open sky for one final moment. From above, every hidden path becomes part of one immense living system.
Reefs, deep channels, open water, and distant currents belong to the same ocean.
A single day passes, but the ocean's movement never pauses. The ocean's greatest wonder is not one animal, but the connection between them all. As the light disappears, the living ocean continues, connected, ancient, and endlessly waiting to be discovered. Beneath the rising turtle, two giants continue.
The ancient sea carves pathways where life can travel, hide, and return.
The Red Sea does not reveal itself all at once. It offers one living detail at a time.
The sea feeds even the quietest forms, carrying life through invisible currents. The sea teaches movement through rhythm, and the Red Sea Reef answers with life.
Beneath the surface of this ancient ocean, the Red Sea begins to reveal a hidden world.
In the sea, awareness moves faster than sound, passing through a school like light. Around a single coral tower, the sea gathers shelter, food, movement, and risk. The sea feeds even the quietest forms, carrying life through invisible currents. Even in the brightest hour, the Red Sea keeps many of its lives unseen. Every ray of light touches an ocean realm shaped by time, heat, salt, and life. Near the reef, the sea is never still. Every surface becomes a place to live.
In the sea, awareness moves faster than sound, passing through a school like light.
The closer we look into this sea, the more worlds within worlds begin to appear. Here, the ocean has built a living kingdom from stone, sunlight, and patience.
The Red Sea is not empty water. It is an ancient ocean filled with quiet movement.
Each hidden opening in this sea is a doorway to another small life. The journey begins at the reef, but the Red Sea still holds far more than the eye can see. Beyond the reef, the sea opens into a silence older than memory. In this ocean, even the smallest motion carries the memory of life. Each hidden opening in this sea is a doorway to another small life. Around a single coral tower, the sea gathers shelter, food, movement, and risk. As the light changes, the ancient Red Sea begins to show a different face. Deeper below the surface, the seal's hidden life becomes harder to see, but impossible to ignore. The ocean floor appears still, yet beneath its calm surface, life is already awake.
This ancient ocean hides its wonders in layers of color, shadow, and silence. This is the doorway into the Red Sea's ancient hidden kingdom. Deeper below the surface, the seal's hidden life becomes harder to see, but impossible to ignore. At the edge of the reef, the ocean breathes through thousands of tiny bodies. Above, the sun burns bright. Below, the ocean keeps its hidden life protected. Every crack in this ocean reef may shelter a life unseen by the passing eye. Ahead, the sea will open into a hidden kingdom where every color shelters life. In the ancient ocean, survival often begins with knowing where to hide. The first gate of the Red Sea is open. Beyond it, hidden life is. The reef is only the beginning. Beyond it, the ocean falls into deeper secrets. Here, the ancient ocean divides the world between safety, hunger, and the unknown. The ocean current writes invisible paths through this living architecture. From a distance, the ocean looks peaceful. Up close, it is alive in every direction. Some forms in this ocean grow slowly, carrying the marks of decades beneath the waves. The Red Sea is an ocean of thresholds, where light fades and mystery begins. Color is not decoration in this ocean. It is language, warning, disguise, and attraction. Across this ancient ocean floor, every open space leads back to shelter. The smallest creatures in this ocean help build one of Earth's most complex worlds. When the ocean gathers life into one motion, the reef seems to breathe. The ancient ocean hides many of its stories where sunlight can barely reach. These living structures turn the ocean into a maze of refuge and opportunity. In the ocean's sheltered corners, hidden life waits for the right moment to move. The farther we look into this ocean, the more ancient and alive it becomes. Some lives in this ocean are measured not by distance, but by the safety of a single crack. The reef is the memory of the ocean, built slowly by countless living hands. From above, it is only water. From below, the ocean becomes a universe. The current feeds the reef, and the reef gives the ocean a place for life to gather. Along these walls, the ancient ocean rises like a living cliff.
In this ocean, danger and shelter can exist within the same delicate form. Every passage through the reef leads deeper into the ocean's hidden design. Life in this ocean is arranged between the brightness above and the shadows below. The ocean teaches movement through rhythm, and the reef answers with life. In this sea, a shadow is enough to make hidden life vanish. The reef reaches into the sea, and the sea answers with light and food. Changing color, changing shape, some creatures turn the Red Sea into a living illusion. Every meter of this seafloor contains a hidden story waiting in silence. The sea can hide a body beneath almost nothing. Beyond the first gate, the Red Sea opens into a kingdom built entirely by life. Inside the smallest cracks of the Red Sea, hidden life begins to appear. Sometimes the Red Sea reveals only evidence, not the life itself. What appears solid is alive, fragile, and constantly changing beneath the sea.
Some creatures in this sea survive by becoming almost invisible.
In this sea, every branch of coral becomes shelter for hundreds of fragile lives. But beyond these hidden chambers, the Red Sea begins to move with greater force. The Red Sea teaches caution to even the smallest creatures. The coral kingdom of the Red Sea is not silent. It is alive with constant motion. The Red Sea sand is not empty. It is a thin veil over secret lives. The smallest spaces in the reef can mean the difference between life and danger. Inside the reef, the Red Sea builds homes above, below, and between. Even before night, the hidden corners of the Red Sea already belong to secret lives. The hidden life has shown how the Red Sea protects the small. Now the moving sea will reveal the balance of survival. Layer by layer, the sea has shaped this reef into a living city. Spines, shells, shadows, and cracks all become tools for survival in this sea.
The smallest defenders in the Red Sea guard doors no larger than a shell.
In this sea, stillness can be the strongest form of protection. Hidden life in this sea is not rare. It is simply easy to miss. The Red Sea builds diversity, not with one shape, but with thousands. The sea current connects every coral, every fish, and every hidden mouth. Every cave in the Red Sea reef may hold a life waiting beyond the light. Across the sand, the Red Sea leaves clues of lives that move unseen. Beneath the visible reef, the Red Sea holds another reef of secrets. Soft corals move with the sea, turning the current into a slow underwater dance. In one small corner of the Red Sea, many lives can share the same shelter. Behind the bright reef face, the Red Sea keeps quieter chambers of life. Some hidden lives are so delicate that the sea itself nearly erases them. The sea can hide a body beneath almost nothing.
To understand this sea, we must look below the obvious beauty.
A single coral patch is only one room in the vast palace of the Red Sea. Here, hidden service becomes survival, and the sea rewards patience. Among the corals, color becomes a way to find food, avoid danger, and belong. The deeper the crevice, the more the Red Sea hides from view. The builders of this sea are small, but together they create a world. The Coral Kingdom is not only shelter, it is a place of exchange. In the Red Sea, a predator can look exactly like the reef itself. Above the reef, the sea gathers movement into living clouds. Camouflage turns the seafloor into both a hiding place and a hunting ground. Small armor, slow steps, and perfect disguise help life cross the Red Sea floor. The Coral Kingdom stretches across the seafloor, connected by hidden paths of sand and current. The reef forms chambers large enough for entire communities to gather. Even the open sand between corals belongs to the rhythm of the sea. Between the coral walls, the sea creates roads for life to move safely. Inside the tunnel, the Red Sea becomes a hidden world within the reef. Some hidden lives wait in darkness, watching the sea from a single opening. Some corals in this sea grow like maps of time, marked by years of quiet survival. The higher the coral climbs, the more the sea fills it with life. Every surface in the Red Sea can become a feeding ground, a shelter, or a hiding place. Even in the shadows of the Red Sea, strange partnerships quietly continue. At the edge of the Coral Kingdom, the sea begins to change again. For small creatures, the reef is a maze built by the sea for survival. Near the crest, sunlight feeds the reef, and the Red Sea becomes dazzling. In the Coral Kingdom, danger and protection often grow side by side. Shade becomes shelter in the Red Sea, and every ledge can hide a life. A single hole in the Red Sea reef can become an entire home. This is the Coral Kingdom at its brightest, a living crown beneath the sea. The Red Sea reveals its secret lives only for a moment, then hides them again. But beneath the colors of the Red Sea, even smaller hidden lives are waiting to be found. The reef changes with every few meters of sea, revealing new colors and new forms. Even feeding becomes part of the reef's rhythm, shaping the sea one bite at a time. Even the sand itself can open and release life into the sea. The Coral Kingdom has shown its beauty. Now the Red Sea will reveal the lives hidden within its cracks. Inside the coral thicket, the sea becomes a maze only small bodies can enter. The hidden life of the Red Sea often begins below the surface of the sand. In this sea, intelligence can wear the color of stone.
The Red Sea hides its most delicate life in places protected from the open water.
The Red Sea gives some creatures not only shelter, but a way to disappear. Here, the reef rises like a living wall built by the sea itself.
A borrowed shell becomes a moving fortress across the Red Sea sand.
The current brings food, and the coral kingdom reaches into the sea to receive it. What looks like dust in the sea can become nourishment for an entire reef. On the seafloor, slow creatures quietly recycle the reef's forgotten fragments. The Red Sea reef is crowded, yet every creature finds its own place. Some lives remain hidden beneath stones, touching the sea without fully leaving shelter. The Red Sea reef is full of doors that open and close in silence. Beyond one coral garden, the sea opens into another, and the kingdom continues.
Beauty in the Red Sea can also carry warning.
Near the seafloor, smaller lives keep close to the border between sand and stone. In the shadows, the sea hides forms both graceful and dangerous. The higher the reef rises, the more life gathers in the moving seawater.
Transparency is another disguise, making life shimmer like the sea itself. A single coral island can become an entire world within the sea.
Hidden chambers inside the reef make the sea safer for the smallest lives. Where light grows weak, the Red Sea shelters colors the open reef rarely sees. The current organizes the sea, guiding food, movement, and survival.
Some of the sea's strangest beauty moves only a few centimeters at a time.
Some fish travel the reef like a herd across an underwater landscape.
In the Red Sea, hidden life can be smaller than a finger and richer than a jewel.
The best disguise in this sea is to become part of the reef's shape.
In this sea, even care and cleaning become part of the reef's hidden order.
The coral kingdom is held together by countless small exchanges.
Where the sea moves gently, small lives hold on and become almost impossible to see.
On the Red Sea floor, partnership can turn a fragile burrow into a safer home.
Not all life here is bright coral. The sea also shelters quiet forms that filter and clean. One digs, one watches, and together they read the sea for danger. The reef is architecture, and the sea fills every passage with motion.
Under the coral roof, the Red Sea keeps another layer of hidden life.
Tiny filters open into the sea, gathering food from water that never stops moving.
Light returns, and the coral kingdom expands again across the sea.
Fast-moving schools carry energy from one part of the reef to another. The coral kingdom is beautiful, but the sea has built it with defenses. To live here, every creature must read the sea and respond instantly. Some coral shapes create quiet rooms where the sea becomes calmer. Across the reef plain, each coral island offers safety in the open sea. The reef gives the sea a place where small lives can vanish instantly.
When the coral kingdom awakens, the Red Sea seems to bloom with fish.
Some hidden lives do not chase food. They cast invisible nets into the sea. Not every creature in the Red Sea reveals its full form to the open water. The best refuge in the Red Sea can be another living body. Even fierce creatures in this sea understand the value of retreat. The more closely we study the Red Sea, the more hidden lives begin to emerge from the reef. The hidden world of the Red Sea does not end at one crack. It continues deeper into the reef.
Within a hole no wider than a finger, the sea can hide a fierce and intelligent hunter.
Many hunters of the Red Sea begin as hidden faces inside the reef.
In the Red Sea, even a nearly invisible thread can mean survival.
Some hidden fish of the Red Sea look less like swimmers and more like pieces of the reef. In this sea, disguise can become armor, shelter, and identity at once. Some creatures in this sea survive by wearing the reef itself.
Caution is one of the first instincts learned in the Red Sea. In the Red Sea, camouflage can be built one fragment at a time.
Patience is the only way to see certain lives in this sea. The Red Sea allows some creatures to vanish by looking like everything around them. Hidden life in this sea is not only survival, it is also protection of the next generation. Partnership on the Red Sea floor can turn a fragile hole into a defended home. Some hidden lives of this sea move like living patterns across the reef.
On the sand of the Red Sea, stillness becomes a form of concealment.
Transparency lets some lives of the Red Sea become part of the water around them. A future reef community can begin as tiny dots beneath a coral ledge.
Some creatures of the Red Sea become invisible by becoming almost flat.
One works, one watches, and together they read the sea for danger.
Some fish of the Red Sea choose the cave as their daylight shelter. To survive here, a body must sometimes move like the sea itself.
The Red Sea is filled with small doors that open only when the water feels safe.
The Red Sea can hide an entire body beneath a veil of sand.
The Red Sea often hides one secret beneath another. Some hidden lives do not chase food. They cast invisible nets into the sea. Even the youngest hidden lives in this sea learn to disappear. Among the broken pieces of the reef, the Red Sea shelters its youngest hidden lives.
Stillness inside the cave is part of the rhythm of this sea. A tiny tunnel in the Red Sea can hold one of the reef's most alert hunters. In this sea, disappearance can happen faster than a heartbeat.
The Red Sea rewards those who can become lines, shadows, and stems. Even the softest shapes rising from the sand can belong to hidden life. The sand of the Red Sea can bloom with lives that vanish the moment danger approaches. Every small opening in the Red Sea reef suggests another hidden story. A simple hole in the Red Sea sand can become a fortress for a watchful parent. In this sea, some creatures survive by copying the movement of the reef. One coral head can hold the sea in layers, buried, hidden, sheltered, and free. Inside the caves of the Red Sea, hidden life gathers where light weakens. Even in the shadows of this sea, life continues its quiet cycles. The Red Sea floor is a page written by creatures that rarely show themselves. The best disguise in the Red Sea is to become part of the coral's rhythm. Some hidden lives of the Red Sea are built for darkness, waiting where the reef turns inward. Some hunters of the Red Sea hide beneath the very floor of the sea. A life can cross the open seafloor for only seconds before returning to shelter. Even in hidden corners of the sea, cooperation keeps the reef alive. The deeper the crack, the more the Red Sea seems to multiply. Some of the rarest beauty in the Red Sea moves more slowly than the current. What shines above is only the surface of the Red Sea's hidden life. The closer we look at this sea, the more enormous the small world becomes. Rock caves beneath the reef protect lives that rarely enter the open sea. Some hidden lives in the Red Sea cling so quietly that the sea itself seems to hold them. By matching both shape and motion, life in this sea can almost erase itself. Inside the reef, the Red Sea feeds creatures that never need to chase. The smallest lives of the Red Sea gather where the water becomes calm.
Inside a cavity of the reef, the sea feeds another life, in complete silence.
Many hidden lives of the Red Sea begin as a face at the edge of darkness. The Red Sea hides life not by removing it, but by blending it into rhythm. The sea gathers its smallest lives in pockets too quiet for larger eyes to notice. A single crack in the Red Sea can support an entire hidden community. The boundary between animal and sand becomes almost impossible to read. In this sea, transformation can be quieter than movement. The obvious beauty of the reef often hides the smaller drama taking place below. A moving shell can become one of the Red Sea's smallest hidden travelers. On the seafloor, many small lives overlap without disturbing each other. Some hidden creatures live by opening themselves to the sea and trusting their speed of retreat. In this sea, a single shadow can make a life disappear. Color, texture, and movement turn the Red Sea into a theater of illusion. Hidden life in this sea often survives by living upon other lives. One small shelter in the Red Sea can protect many species at once. The underside of the reef is another world in the Red Sea, hidden from bright water above. The hidden world of this sea reveals itself only to patient eyes. Hidden life in the Red Sea is not rare at all. It simply lives beneath attention. From coral cracks to open sand, the Red Sea hides life in every texture. Where the reef meets the sand, another layer of the Red Sea begins. One coral head in the Red Sea can hold an entire vertical neighborhood of secret lives. What appears simple in the Red Sea is often layered with lives too small to notice at first. Every meter of this sea holds another hidden door. The Red Sea is never still. Even after calm, the current returns and reshapes life again.
Some predators hold their power in formation, waiting for the sea to bring opportunity.
The same current that tests the reef also feeds it. When the Red Sea current grows stronger, every creature must choose where to move, where to hide, and where to feed. Beyond the hidden cracks, the Red Sea begins to move with greater force. In the Red Sea, even the current can divide, forcing life to choose a path in moving water. When the sea begins to run, the school becomes a river of living silver. The Red Sea arranges life by strength, size, hunger, and timing. In this sea, a school is more than a crowd. It is a single decision shared by thousands. The school bends with the sea, then reforms before danger can find a weakness. In open water, safety comes from moving together as one living shape. A single rush through the sea can change the direction of hundreds. Together, they read the Red Sea faster than any single body could. Predators do not always attack. Sometimes their presence alone reshapes the sea. Hunters use the current as cover, rising from below where the school least expects them.
The Red Sea turns movement into defense, and the school becomes harder to break.
Around the pinnacle, the Red Sea turns fear into a spinning tower of life. Pressure turns scattered fish into one living shield. The reef is the answer the Red Sea gives to danger. The hunters follow the current because the current gathers life. From below, the balance of survival appears as a storm of light and shadow. Inside the reef, the sea becomes narrow, protected, and full of escape routes. Where many small fish gather, the hunters of the sea are never far away. Inside the living tower, every fish follows the sea, and the fish beside it. In the Red Sea, fear can turn thousands of lives into one shield. Where warm and cooler sea layers meet, even the shark appears to move through liquid glass. From below, survival in the sea looks like a storm passing across the sun. The Red Sea offers two choices at once: shelter in the reef or speed in open water. A single change in the sea can move an entire community at once. The reef protects the small by turning the sea into a maze. The Red Sea offers more than one escape, but every escape has its own risk. In this sea, safety can be only a few centimeters wide.
Below the shark's path, the sand hides another hunter, moving by touch and patience.
A distant shark can change the shape of the sea before it comes close. The reef protects the small, while the open sea tests the strong. Even in powerful water, the reef creates quiet rooms for survival. The shark moves through the Red Sea like a law the reef understands. The ray searches the seafloor like a slow shadow, reading invisible signs. Not every hunter in the Red Sea moves quickly. Some wait with ancient patience. Even powerful hunters in the Red Sea must pause and depend on smaller lives. Balance in this sea is built across layers of depth, motion, and hunger. Below the moving schools, another hunter waits beneath the sand.
The same current that brings danger also brings food.
The same reef can be a hospital, a shelter, and a hunting ground. Some predators of the Red Sea gather in silence before they move. The ray does not chase through the sea. It searches with quiet precision. Some schools form not as a cloud, but as a living curtain across the sea. Every movement across the seafloor sends a signal through the reef. The reef feels every change in the water before the eye understands it. The current that exposes danger also carries food through the Red Sea.
The sea arranges life according to who can hold the current.
At the edge of the reef, the shark moves like the shadow of the sea itself.
A hunt can be a test of pressure long before it becomes a chase.
One sudden pass can turn feeding into escape. The strongest water creates the most valuable stillness. The coral reef receives the moving sea and breaks it into hiding places. Balance in the Red Sea is not stillness, it is constant adjustment. To cross open seawater, even strong swimmers travel together. Their formation is a silent warning written in silver. Beyond the coral, the open sea holds hunters built for patience and speed. Not all movement in the Red Sea happens above the sand. A shadow crossing the reef can speak louder than a strike.
Their formation is a warning written across the blue sea. A ray moves through the sea, as if the sea floor itself has learned to fly.
The reef senses danger through movement before any strike occurs. Every passing body sends a message through the Red Sea community. Under the coral roof, the hunted become part of the reef's hidden architecture. The Red Sea current is both river and road, carrying food through the reef. Behind coral, the Red Sea creates quiet pockets inside powerful water. When the current delivers food, the Red Sea fills with sudden hunger. Every return to the current is a small act of survival. Each layer of the sea holds a different role in the balance of life.
Food brings the small into the open, and the open sea brings risk. The strongest swimmers do not fight the sea, they borrow its force. The attack is not the story, the reaction of the sea is. The hunters move in circles, turning the sea into a living arena. For the small, unity is the shield that the Red Sea provides. Inside the school, the Red Sea becomes a storm of instinct.
A near miss is enough to reshape the sea in an instant. In the Red Sea, survival can happen just beyond the reach of a larger mouth. When pressure fades, the sea relaxes into a new pattern. The grouper does not need speed when its presence alone opens space in the reef. Below the racing schools, patience waits in the rock. When danger rises, the reef becomes the safest place in the sea. The Coral Kingdom protects those small enough to enter its maze. The reef shelters the hunted, but it also shelters the hunter. Large hunters share the Red Sea without moving in the same way. In this sea, size can be strength, but it can also be limitation. The visible sea and the hidden sea are always moving together. On the sand, the ray follows clues that the open water hunters never see. A shadow above the Red Sea can change every decision below. The seafloor hides life, but it cannot hide every movement forever. Patience is another kind of speed in the Red Sea. The shark belongs to open sea paths, where awareness is everything. Above the reef, the shark keeps the open sea in balance. Life pauses for the hunter, then the sea begins again. Hunger connects the smallest coral mouth to the largest predator in the sea. A single predator can guide the motion of thousands. The Red Sea balances life not in one line, but across many levels. When the shadow passes, the Red Sea settles, but never fully relaxes. On the seafloor, survival is quieter, but no less precise. Each creature follows a separate path, yet all are shaped by the same Red Sea. Even gentle movement can uncover hidden fear beneath the sand. Each movement in the Red Sea creates another movement nearby. The stronger the current, the more the reef comes alive. The sea offers many escapes, but each one is made for a different body. In the Red Sea, direction itself can become a survival strategy. Inside the school, the sea becomes a storm of living instinct. The sea unites life when danger rises and divides it when the moment passes. The reef and the open sea divide the rules of survival. Not every hunt must end to change the balance of the reef. Every level of the reef offers a different answer to danger.
Some hunters never leave the reef. They let the sea bring life close.
The reef receives the frightened sea and turns movement back into hiding. Inside the coral, small lives enter a world that larger hunters cannot follow. Even predators in the Red Sea are part of relationships that keep the reef alive. The sea holds beauty and threat in the same turning circle. After panic, the sea creates stillness where life can reset. From below, the hunters become shadows written across the light. The Red Sea is not ruled by one creature, but balanced by many lives moving at once. The current returns like a pulse, reminding every life that the sea is always changing. Feeding in the Red Sea means watching the water as much as the food. Food draws life together, and the sea quickly becomes a chain of hunger. The hunter leaves, but its memory remains in the movement of the reef. From coral to predator, the Red Sea holds every life in balance. As the day slows, the Red Sea prepares for a different kind of life. The hunters of daylight withdraw, and the reef's hidden chambers grow darker. Different hunters use different paths, but all are shaped by the same sea. The sea erases signs of struggle, but the balance remains beneath the surface. The Red Sea is not ruled by one predator, but by many roles working together. When light begins to leave the Red Sea, survival changes its rules. After every disturbance, the sea finds a new pattern. This is the Red Sea in motion, ancient water carrying modern life. The day has shown the balance of hunger and shelter. Now the Red Sea will reveal what awakens after the light disappears. Where the current tightens, the balance of survival becomes sharper. The reef breaks the force of the sea, giving life places to rest. Safety in this sea is temporary, always changing with the next shadow. The chase does not need an ending to shape the behavior of the reef. After danger, the sea holds a brief silence before life continues. As the sea light softens,
the reef begins to prepare for another transformation. The Dale's hunters drift away, but the Red Sea never truly sleeps. The balance of survival has shaped the day. Now the Red Sea will reveal what awakens when the light begins to disappear. The hidden lives of the Red Sea have shown their secret shelters. Beyond them, the sea's larger forces are waiting. As sunset reaches the Red Sea, the reef begins its transformation into a more secret world. Night has settled over the Red Sea, and the reef is now ruled by quieter, stranger life. The Red Sea night grows deeper, and the hidden life of the sea becomes even more mysterious. Above the Red Sea, moonlight replaces the sun, and the reef begins to glow in silence. In the darkness, the Red Sea reef turns outward, opening itself to the sea for food. In the Red Sea, evening is not an ending, but the opening of another rhythm. As the sea light fades, the reef begins to fold many of its daytime lives into shelter. Night feeding reveals how many hidden lives in the Red Sea depend on the drifting life of the sea. At night, the smallest lives in the sea become the atmosphere through which everything moves. As darkness deepens, the Red Sea fills with smaller drifting life, and the sea itself becomes richer. The reef is no longer only shelter. In the Red Sea night, it becomes a field of feeding mouths. When darkness approaches, the hidden mouths of the Red Sea reef begin to open. And in darkness, shapes hidden by daylight become the quiet architecture of the sea. Night turns the coral kingdom of the Red Sea into a living forest of feeders. At night, even the open sea above the reef becomes a feeding ground. The first night walkers of the Red Sea move carefully, feeling the water before every step. What floats unseen through the sea becomes food for lives that wait for darkness. Small hidden creatures of the Red Sea wait for darkness before crossing the reef. As night approaches, the Red Sea begins to fill with smaller, drifting life. Night travel in the Red Sea happens beneath a sky of drifting sea life. On the night seafloor, every movement is measured against the possibility of danger. Some hidden creatures of the Red Sea reveal their true form only after darkness arrives. In the evening sea, even the smallest drifting bodies begin to shape the life around them. The Red Sea seafloor becomes busier when daylight no longer dominates the reef. In the night sea, one hidden life often becomes the shelter for another. Many fish of the Red Sea seek shelter in caves while the night hunters begin to move. The hidden creatures of the Red Sea begin to leave their shelters when the light grows weak. The caves of the Red Sea hold their own quiet night communities. Night in the Red Sea belongs to lives that move best beneath the edge of darkness. The Red Sea night belongs to creatures that can change with every surface they touch. Now the hidden eel of the Red Sea begins its true night movement. The sea caves of the Red Sea hold many watchers of the night. In this sea, disappearance can be as graceful as movement. In the darker spaces of the sea, entire communities wait
in fragile stillness. Another mind awakens in the Red Sea, patient, curious, and almost impossible to predict. Through the night sea, the eel travels like a lying shadow. Every movement of a night predator changes the behavior of the Red Sea reef. As night deepens in the Red Sea, the hidden hunters begin to wake. The octopus does not simply move through the sea. It reads the Red Sea with every touch. Patience and shadow give the night hunters of the sea their advantage. Every object on the night sea floor may hide food, danger, or another secret. Another intelligence of the Red Sea waits for darkness to move more freely. Night gives the octopus the confidence to become part of the moving sea. From the dark rock, the eel enters the Red Sea night like a living shadow. From its rocky chamber, the eel enters the night sea with calm precision. Every movement in the Red Sea night sends a message through the reef. When the eel moves, the hidden reef responds before the sea appears to change. The octopus reads the Red Sea through contact, shadow, and silence. Night reveals the Red Sea, but it also teaches every creature when to disappear. Curiosity becomes part of survival in the night sea. Another intelligence of the Red Sea begins to move with the coming night. Darkness invites many hidden Red Sea lives into the open, all at once. In the night sea, the octopus can become whatever the reef requires.
Some hunters of the Red Sea move with beauty, so slow it becomes a warning.
The night sea may look calm, but every creature is watching. The octopus reads the sea with every touch of its arms. The night sea above the reef grows thick with drifting life. In the Red Sea, even the smallest night feeders must balance hunger with caution. Night in the Red Sea rewards curiosity, caution, and silent movement. Inside the caves, the Red Sea holds fish that seem made for shadow. Transparency becomes a kind of night camouflage in the Red Sea. The reef now feeds more openly as the sea turns toward darkness. Some animals of the Red Sea wait for the sea to darken before revealing their full form. Within one hidden life, the Red Sea can protect another. Creatures too cautious for daylight now begin to cross the open reef. The sea grows dense with drifting life, and everything on the reef begins to feed from it. Beneath the reef, the nightlife of the Red Sea grows more active with every fading trace of light. In the Red Sea, the smallest night travelers move beneath a sea filled with drifting food. On some nights, the Red Sea releases the future of the reef into the moving sea. The night sea carries beginnings too small to control, yet powerful enough to build tomorrow's reef. Night gives the more cautious lives of the Red Sea a little more courage. As darkness grows, the living haze of the sea becomes thicker. Even the slow, armored creatures of the Red Sea prefer to travel under darkness. The night sea draws many small feeders upward into its invisible harvest. Every surface of the Red Sea reef seems to drink from the dark current. When the reef darkens, many small hidden paths across the Red Sea open at once. The slowest animals of the sea work through the night, recycling the reef, grain by grain. Some hidden lives of the Red Sea wait for the sea to darken before they fully open. Even within the night feeders of the Red Sea, smaller hidden lives remain protected.
In darkness, even the hidden worms of the Red Sea become part of the moving reef.
The octopus belongs fully to the night sea, adapting to every texture it crosses. Beneath the reef, the Red Sea night awakens a separate layer of life. Each crack in the Red Sea night may hide food, danger, or another secret life. In the Red Sea, even spines can become a refuge for smaller lives. Night allows many hidden creatures to risk a little more of themselves. Some night hunters of the Red Sea move with beautiful precision rather than speed. Even the slow, armored lives of the Red Sea choose darkness to travel. Even in darkness, the reef remains alert to every larger shape in the sea. While hunters move through the Red Sea night, some daytime fish seal themselves inside quiet protection. The night sea brings many secret travelers into the open at once. The eel trusts the Red Sea darkness and pushes farther from shelter. Even sleep in this sea requires strategy. At night, the passages of the Red Sea become living roads for hunters. With darkness above, the octopus claims more of the Red Sea floor. The full night sea of the Red Sea grows richer as drifting life gathers overhead. A distant shadow is enough to remind the reef that night is never harmless. No other creature in this sea shifts so easily between movement and disguise. In the night reef, every hole in the sea may contain a possibility. In darkness, the smallest lives of the Red Sea become the atmosphere of the sea itself. Some hunters of the Red Sea move through darkness with beautiful caution. Moonlight turns the Red Sea reef into a maze of silver doors. The reef has fully changed now, and the Red Sea at night becomes a field of feeding life. Each coral of the Red Sea enters the Sea of Night differently, yet all answer the same drifting food. At night, the sea seems quieter, but the reef remains alert. The Red Sea connects plankton, corals, scavengers, and hunters in one nighttime chain of life. The eel leaves its chamber more fully now, trusting the protection of darkness. Even at night, camouflage remains one of the Red Sea's most powerful languages. Night turns the narrow passages of the sea into hunting roads.
One small reef mound can hold an entire night ecosystem in the Red Sea. Some night beauty in the Red Sea moves so slowly it can almost be missed. By night, the Red Sea feels older, quieter, and more mysterious than by day. With full night, the Red Sea becomes richer with drifting life. The night sea feeds those who wait, those who filter, and those who hunt.
Different lives use the same night for different purposes. In darkness, the smallest lives of the sea begin to shine in the imagination.
The structures of the reef become more enigmatic when the sea is ruled by shadow.
Even the open seafloor becomes alive with quieter movement after dark. Across the reef, separate hunters travel through the same sea of shadow.
The reef of the Red Sea transforms at night into a field of countless open mouths.
Each coral in the Red Sea enters the night in its own way, yet all follow the same hidden tide of hunger. Night travel in the Red Sea is brief, careful, and always aware.
The Red Sea night is not one story, but many stories moving at once.
The hidden Red Sea grows most active when the sea itself seems quiet.
Night in the Red Sea links the smallest scavengers, the drifting plankton, and the reef itself.
When the current rises, the night reef becomes more alive.
In darkness, the Red Sea becomes a quieter but more mysterious ocean world.
A single reef mound can hold an entire night community within the sea.
A river of small life passes through the sea, feeding everything that can reach it. The deeper night, the more the Red Sea feels ancient and unknotable. Beyond this darkness, the Red Sea still holds another change of mood.
At night, many lives of the Red Sea overlap in the same hidden space. One passing body can wake hidden movement across the sand. The structures of the reef become more enigmatic when the sea is ruled by shadow. Even the open seafloor becomes busier when daylight disappears. The night sea of the Red Sea is full, layered, and quietly alive. The night seafloor is filled with doors that open only for a moment. After searching the night reef, even the octopus returns to the safety of stone. Night travel in the Red Sea is brief, careful, and always aware. Everything remains in motion here, even when the Red Sea appears still.
The night sea is not empty. It is simply filled with quieter lives. The darkness of the Red Sea begins to soften, but the night world still holds on.
The deeper night carries the hidden memory of the Red Sea through every current. The Red Sea holds its greatest mystery when so much is alive, yet so little is fully seen.
The night reef reveals how much of the Red Sea lives beyond the reach of daylight.
Through darkness, the Red Sea has revealed another hidden face, and the journey is ready to return to the wider memory of the sea.
In darkness, the Red Sea becomes a quieter
but more mysterious ocean world. Through the longest night, the Red Sea has shown its secret pulse. Soon, the ancient sea will return to light and memory. The night is only one face of the sea, and the Red Sea still holds more to reveal. Through the night, the Red Sea has revealed its secret life. Beyond this darkness, the journey will return to the memory of the sea. From above, the sea is water. From within, it is memory, shelter, and endless motion. The current is the thread that ties the Red Sea together. After the long night, the Red Sea begins to return to light, carrying every hidden life into a new day. The ancient waters continue to carry life from shadow into light. What fed in darkness now remains part of the greater living rhythm of the Red Sea. The hidden life of the Red Sea remains, protected by the reef and renewed by each day. The Red Sea is a gateway between ancient memory and living motion. This ancient sea has shown only a fraction of what still lives beneath its surface. And as color returns, the ancient reef reveals how many lives survived the night. What was hidden in darkness now belongs to the greater rhythm of the sea.
The small lives that hid in the reef now return to the open sea of morning.
The journey ends in morning light, but the Red Sea continues, ancient, hidden, and alive.
And the sea floor still carries the evidence of everything that moved in darkness.
The Red Sea is both secret chamber and open horizon.
Every small life adds movement to the vast body of the ancient sea.
In the Red Sea, one community withdraws as another begins its day.
This is the Red Sea as a living heritage, shaped by countless unseen lives. Every crack, every cave, and every channel belongs to the same ancient sea.
The Red Sea connects the hidden and the visible, the small and the vast, the night and the day. This ancient water is more than a sea. It is a living memory shaped by every creature within it. Morning does not erase the hidden world. It simply moves it back into the reef. The Red Sea begins each day with movement, color, and the quiet memory of night. The same reef that fed in darkness now shines again beneath the morning sea. What once seemed separate is revealed as one ancient living architecture. The hunters of the night return to darkness, but their presence still shapes the reef. As the hidden hunters rest, the open sea fills again with motion. Together, these small lives make the Red Sea appear to breathe. The sea is not a collection of scenes. It is one living story written in layers. The Red Sea protects life, not with walls, but with living forms built over time. The traces of night remain for a while, then the sea writes a new day over them. Color returns to the Red Sea, like a language spoken again after darkness. The hidden world is still here, beneath the beauty that morning reveals.
The Red Sea holds life in layers, each one depending on the next.
The small, the hidden, and the visible all share the same ancient reef.
the current gathers life again, and the Red Sea begins another cycle of movement. Here, shelter and open water meet, just as they have for generations. The Red Sea is not only a place of beauty, it is a living heritage shaped by time. The reef remembers the night, even as the morning sea fills again with color. The hidden world remains inside the reef, protected by the ancient structure of the sea. The Red Sea gives life both shelter and space, both refuge and journey. The reef reaches into the sea, and the sea answers with light and food. Above the Pacific Ocean, a superstorm turns the sea into a vast field of power. Deeper inside the Pacific Reef, the storm turns the coral world into a fortress of survival.
From above, the storm appears almost alive, shaping the surface of the ocean with relentless force. For the smallest fish, every coral branch becomes a wall against the moving sea. At the surface of the Pacific, wind, rain, and waves merge into one moving body. Yet beneath this chaos, another world is waiting in the sea below.
The storm reaches the bottom as moving sand, and the seafloor becomes a place of constant change.
The superstorm rules the surface, but the ocean beneath it is beginning to respond. To understand this storm, we must follow it below the waves.
When the Pacific grows restless, the strongest shelter is often found beneath the reef itself.
Below the storm, the sea is still restless, filled with noise, motion, and pressure.
The same storm that threatens the reef also sends food through its hidden corridors.
The superstorm above reshapes the first layers of the ocean, stirring everything in its reach. Inside the storm-dark reef, the old balance of hunter and hidden prey continues. Even before the reef appears, life in the Pacific Ocean is already adapting to the force above. Beneath the raging surface, the hidden life of the Pacific is just beginning to come into view. This reef is not only surviving the Pacific storm, it is using every shape, shelter, and current to stay alive. Farther below the storm, the Pacific begins to reveal the lives that endure beneath the violence above. Within the coral, the smallest spaces become the strongest protection. The reef is not a single shelter, but thousands of shelters joined together by the sea. The ocean floor is not untouched by the storm. It feels the force as current, pressure, and shifting light. When the storm presses down from above, even the smallest fish know where safety begins. Some fish survive the moving water by holding still in the right place. Every surge from above sends another signal through the reef. The reef becomes a fortress, and every crevice in the sea becomes a refuge.
On the seafloor, survival can mean staying low, staying still, and letting the storm pass overhead.
In the sand, the storm turns every open doorway into a risk. Beneath the superstorm, even sight becomes uncertain. Each species answers the storm in its own way,